Taunting. To provoke or challenge someone with insulting remarks. This has become the center of debate within the NFL world for the past few weeks, and it's something that must be changed immediately. The NFL's definition for a 15-yard taunting penalty is using baiting or taunting acts or words that may engender ill will between teams. Now, when looking at the definition alone for a taunting penalty, it makes sense. Using taunting words or actions to taunt a player makes a whole lot of sense when you're talking about taunting. But why is there a taunting penalty in the first place? Now, I would 100% agree with a taunting penalty called for very severe scenarios where someone's doing very inappropriate things. Like, I know they had a rule where they were taking off the, slitting your throat thing as a celebration. That's not a good thing. I would understand that. That's inappropriate for national television. It's still a business that is shown to millions of fans around the world. You have to somewhat keep the peace. However, with the taunting calls that we are seeing in the recent weeks of the NFL, something has to change. On Twitter currently, NFL fans are voicing their displeasure with the league and the recent officiating changes for the taunting rule, with the phrase "no fun league" trending at number 20 on Twitter right now. This clearly shows that the overarching fan base of the NFL is not happy whatsoever with how taunting penalties and just general celebration is being dealt with in the NFL right now. Players are putting their bodies on the line in very emotional games and very intense situations, and fans want to see their celebrations, them getting hyped, them getting excited if they make a good play. But right now, the NFL is clearly not wanting that to be the case. An example that sticks out the most to me as a Seahawks fan is the recent taunting penalty that was called on DJ Reed after a stop made on AJ Brown. That play would have been a touchdown if A.J. Brown had caught the ball, but he didn't. DJ Reed, although the coverage wasn't the best, did enough to stop A.J. Brown from scoring the touchdown. The play next would have been a 3rd and 10 in a very late point in the game, less than 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Titans were down by 7. It's a very important part of the game. Emotions are high, the stakes are high, everything is high at this point of the game. And a taunting penalty was called on DJ Reed, a corner who had a 3-inch disadvantage, a 30-pound disadvantage, size and stature, everything was going in favor of AJ Brown. DJ Reed makes the play, and he gets up and he flexes. He probably celebrated for a maximum of 2.5 seconds, and he was called for a taunting penalty. What should have been a 3rd and 10 ended up being 15 yards forward, 1st and 10. They end up scoring on that drive. The game goes to overtime. The Seattle Seahawks lose by a field goal in overtime. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that's the reason why the Seahawks lost. The Seahawks lost for a lot of reasons. Their offense stalled. Their defense didn't play great. They lost time of possession. They deserved to lose that game. But this taunting penalty could have changed the game. It had major implications on at least that drive. Who knows what would have happened on a 3rd and 10 there, but we didn't get to see it because DJ Reed celebrated for 2.5 seconds. And when it comes to the implications overall throughout the league, there have been 10 taunting penalties called in 2 weeks of football, and they have accounted for 150 lost yards. If this rate continues throughout the entirety of the season, 85 taunting penalties will be called, which would cost teams over 1,250 yards, and what you can only assume are the highest stakes, highest emotional points of games, because that's when players are getting the most excited, getting the most hyped, and for some reason, that's why the refs are throwing the flags the most. Now, we can all agree that the NFL fan base as a whole is definitely against what is going on right now with the calls made for taunting and other unsportsmanlike conduct, and the players are too. A recent statement from the NFL Players Association has stated that they are against what is going on with taunting penalties as well, stating, "For those who aren't a fan of the new taunting rule, we aren't either. Rules like this are adopted through the competition committee, which includes 11 members, 10 selected by the commissioner, and 1 NFLPA rep." So basically what this means is the NFLPA, basically one person goes into a meeting of 11 people and is the singular voice for the entirety of the NFL's player base. The decisions that have the biggest impact on the players actually playing football, putting their bodies on the line, entertaining the fans, and everything in between, they are not even made by the majority of players. One single person goes into a meeting of 11 people and is the voice for every player in the NFL. Every single player in the NFL has less than 10% of a say of what goes down in the NFL. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm going to be completely honest. And in my humble opinion, I believe that the taunting rules for the NFL should be changed immediately. There are a lot of fans that think this should happen. I can almost guarantee you that a lot of players want things to change immediately. And honestly, it's not looking good for the entirety of the NFL because as a business, the NFL is being looked down upon by fans because they're making the game less fun to watch. The entertainment, the energy that is brought by the players cannot be felt because they are being called for penalties that are ruining games if they show any energy, excitement, happiness, any celebration of any kind is seemingly hurting the player and the team. If players are really going to be upset that another player is quote unquote taunting them, then they can do something about it. If I get 100% on a test and the kid sitting next to me gets a 60 and I celebrate getting my 100, I don't have to care about how that guy that got a 60 felt because he got a 60. He realizes he could have done better, so he doesn't get to celebrate. I do. DJ Reed making a stop on AJ Brown, DJ Reed gets to celebrate because AJ Brown didn't get the touchdown. He didn't do his job, DJ Reed did. DJ Reed can celebrate. I believe that the taunting rules in the NFL were bad before because you should let players show emotion to any extent, I believe. I think that is what would make the game very interesting. If players are going to fight constantly because someone gets a little too happy, let that happen. But don't call more taunting penalties. If anything, call 0. But definitely call less. Changes need to be made now. Let me know down below in the comments what you think about this. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.